Yo, what's going on, your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Bullfrog and I've been seeing people talk about the Bullfrog meta potentially coming back, and I was curious to see where the Bullfrog standed in the current meta of Warzone, or at least compared to the War Mp5, which I believe to be undoubtedly top 2 SMG in the game, if not for most people top 1 SMG in the game. And I just wanted to see how the Bullfrog compared to it, and I gotta be honest, I was kind of disappointed in the Bullfrog performance this time around. I'm not to say that it's completely bad, but you'll see what I mean as we go on in this video. But before we do, I want to say, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. We just hit 1.77k, so we're about 230 subs away, and I'll be very every sub helps. Also, if you can do me the favor of following my Twitch channel, we are about 8 followers away from 200, and it would be really dope if we could hit that very soon. But anyways, man, with that being said, let's get into this comparison. Then we have the recoil pattern for the Bullfrog, which, as you guys can see, isn't too complicated. It simply goes up and then starts steering to the left. But you don't even get to feel the effects of that, I guess, left movement, because this gun is very easy to control, and it's known as a low to no recoil weapon. And to be honest, you don't really got to worry about that recoil pattern. But again, recoil doesn't really matter when it comes to SMGs, because again, you're not trying to beam people across the map. But it is good to have a pretty low recoil SMG for medium range. I could always appreciate a strong medium range game for any SMG, because I like to use my SMGs at medium range, and this weapon right here is probably one of the more prominent SMGs that is able to just have that ability to gun things at medium range, and that's what I really appreciate from this weapon. However, I don't know, something felt off about this weapon when I used it, and I really can't put my finger on it. Why? Because I'm pretty sure this weapon didn't get nerfed. I remember the last time it got changed, it got like balanced out to be more balanced, which I still to this day don't really understand the point of that update. I don't know why this gun needed to be reworked in any way. And then actually, no, recently it also got reworked in terms of the iron sight. That's actually what made me not want to use this weapon anymore. I think in season 4, I believe, that when that update came out, the Bullfrog's iron sight got adjusted, and it got like more zoomed in, and it just felt really weird to me. It felt very unnatural, and I stopped liking it because the gun just didn't feel as good as it used to be. And I know it's just the iron sight change, and it wasn't like that major. Hell, most of you guys didn't even notice that change, and I don't know. I feel like it completely messed up the flow of the weapon for me. And now I also feel like this weapon's a lot weaker than it used to be. Obviously, I know that it didn't get changed, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it did get changed. Like, no damage nerf, to my knowledge, actually have occurred since the initial balance update of this weapon. From then, I don't think this weapon's been touched in any form other than the iron sight. So I don't want to be spreading misinformation, but for me personally, it just didn't feel like what it used to be. It just didn't feel the same. But that could also be due to the fact that I've been using guns such as the War Mp5 and XM4, whereas they kill pretty quickly at close range, and the Bullfrog just doesn't kill as fast as these two weapons in the close range department. But it's a pretty solid weapon. It's a pretty powerful weapon, and I can't say nothing bad about it. I think at range it definitely surpasses the MP5, not even because of the damage, just simply because of the fact that you're able to hit your shots much easier with the Bullfrog at a medium range than the MP5. The MP5 has a crazy amount of recoil, that's no secret, and the Bullfrog is a complete opposite of that. It's a very easy gun to control, very low recoil weapon, and you're not gonna have trouble at range with that weapon. And the damage is solid, so it's a pretty effective weapon at range compared to the MP5, where it does have damage, but the fire rate and recoil just don't mix together. They are very they're just enemies to each other, because it affects the weapon very greatly. And a little side note, many of you guys probably didn't even notice, but if you guys have watched my recent, I guess, Bullfrog comparison videos, you would know that I use no stock instead of Raider stock for my Bullfrog. And this time I decided to change it up because I just felt like the no stock was a little bit too much for the recoil, especially since I don't use an underbarrel. And again, it doesn't have that much recoil, but when you start putting attachments that kind of affect it in the recoil department, it starts getting a little bit more noticeable. And I don't know, this time around again, with the damage feeling slightly off, that medium range was not feeling as effective as it once was. And so I decided to put on the Raider stock. It helped it out a little bit, but I still think that the Bullfrog overall was lacking this time around. Again, this is my personal feeling though. Like, I'm not saying like everyone's gonna feel the exact same way, because many of you guys out there probably feel like the Bullfrog is still top tier, and I'll agree. The Bullfrog is definitely a top tier SMG. It's just that for a guy who's been using the War Mp5 and XM4, it just felt slightly off. But anyways, man, with that being said, let's get into the War Mp5. And here we have the Recoil Pattern for the War Mp5, and like I mentioned earlier, this is the complete opposite of what the Bullfrog is. And although it does have a pretty simple pattern, it pretty much goes straight up. It's just its fire rate makes it go straight up a little too quick. And depending on how you build your War Mp5, the recoil's gonna be a little too much. But I want to give you guys a little tip on how to minimize the recoil on the MP5. This is not gonna completely eliminate the recoil. Don't get it twisted. You're still gonna have recoil, especially if you don't know how to control your recoil. But this is a way for your gun to have a little bit less recoil. I mean, that's simply by not using a barrel. Don't use a barrel on the War Mp5. Trust me, it's going to completely change the weapon. Most people are probably already doing that. But if you're still using a barrel on this MP5, please get it off. I'm telling you, it performs a lot better. Or at least in my opinion, I think ever since I stopped using a barrel, this weapon definitely feels a lot better than what it once was. And listen, my reasoning behind this is, some of you guys may want the barrel for range or whatnot, but the range won't matter, because with that barrel, you're going to add on recoil, and it won't matter if you're trying to hit someone at range, because you're going to be shooting in the sky. You're going to be hitting Jupiter instead of the person that you want to actually kill. So please, I'm telling you, use a no barrel and War Mp5. It'll change your life. Again, 95% of you, I'm sure you don't use a barrel, but if you're struggling with it, I'm telling you, that's the big tip I got for you. And yeah, but this gun, bro, like, I don't know what happened to it. Back then, when I guess the integration first happened, people were talking about the War Mp5, and obviously we still had the Mac and F3R at that time, so people, you know, weren't gonna give this gun a chance. And slowly over time, when the meta started transforming, and when we finally got like the all-around meta, when any gun was good, the War Mp5 was still like not talked about. I remember Douglas Ruff, was familiar with him, mentioning that this weapon might have been it, and he was like the one guy that was solely advocating for that weapon. He really thought it was the best gun, or I guess secondary, in the game. And people didn't share that same feeling. I don't even know why this weapon came into meta now, to be honest. I truly don't know what occurred for this. Maybe it's because people are just like fiends trying to find the next broken gun in the game. Like, I don't know, I've been seeing streamers a lot, or I see a lot of streamers kind of complain that there isn't like a dominant weapon, which is kind of odd. You know, some people just don't really know what to use. I guess some people might share that same feeling too. They just complain about not having a dominant weapon because they just have no idea what to use. And I could sometimes agree with that statement or feel the same way, because I don't know. In these times like these, it's kind of confusing on trying to figure out what do you exactly want to use. But hey, diversity is still fun. You know, it's really fun being able to use whatever and not getting destroyed because you're not using the top tier weapon at the time. But you know, sometimes it can get a little frustrating when it feels like nothing is working. You just want something that will guaranteedly work. But anyways, man, this War Mp5, bro, just had its weird journey to the top. Again, I can't really put my fingers on what made it be considered one of the best SMGs in the game at the moment. I honestly want to credit it to the fact that people just decided, you know, don't put a barrel in and see what happens, and it's just been rocking, kids. It's simple as that. But yeah, man, one of the things that I like about this weapon, aside from its high damage, it's its mobility. I don't know, double time, Raider stock, the way it's built, like, I feel like I'm flying on the map. The Bullfrog, I feel like, also has a pretty decent mobility as well, especially when I used to use no stock. But compared to MP5, I just don't feel like it has that swift feeling as good as the MP5. Like, it's still pretty fast because it's SMG, but it doesn't feel as swift as a War Mp5. And I will say, I feel like in the close range battle between the Bullfrog and War Mp5, I think War Mp5 definitely easily dominates the Bullfrog. Like, I feel like the Bullfrog doesn't have the time to kill at that range. Like, don't get me wrong, it's pretty powerful, but given all the factors that the War Mp5 has, it's, you know, not going to beat it at close range. But at medium range, you already know the Bullfrog's going to take that battle every day, all day. And another advantageous thing about the Bullfrog is the 65/85 round mag. If the War Mp5 has something like that, this thing will be the most broken thing on the game. I don't care what anyone says. Because I tend to use a lot of bullets when killing one person. It's just because I don't have like the pitch perfect accuracy where I'm hitting 100% of my shots. You know, I miss a lot of my shots, and it generally takes me quite a bit to kill somebody. Not just even end them, just straight up downing them. But the Bullfrog, bro, like, I can easily make a full team with 65 bullets. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. There's a lot of weapons out there in the game that if they had a bigger mag would be a very big problem. But, you know, game developers somewhat know what they're doing. So they know better than to put on those type of attachments on weapons that could become a threat if they were given those type of attachments. But anyways, besides the point, the Recoil Mp5 and Bullfrog, between the two, I would probably pick the Recoil Mp5, just given the close range aspect of it. You know, just in case anyone asks, because I tend to get asked that question quite often in my comparisons. I would probably pick the Recoil Mp5. Not to say that the Bullfrog is completely like not able to compete with the Recoil Mp5, because it is. I think it does its own things, or it has its own strengths, and it just does things that the Recoil Mp5 can't do. But yeah, man. With that being said, man, let me know what you guys personally think about the Recoil Mp5 and Bullfrog, and where do you guys personally rank them in your SMG rankings? But yeah, man. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later, and I'm out. Peace.